Welcome back everyone to Top 10 Videos. Today we're going to be talking about the top 10 facts about Windows 10. Since launching the ambitious but flawed Windows 8 in 2012, Microsoft has been in a perennial state of damage control. In a failed attempt to make Windows better for touch devices, Microsoft botched the user interface and left tons of disappointed customers. With Windows 10, Microsoft tackled head on the UI issues, and judging by publicly available preview versions of the operating system, it apparently has finally gotten it right though. The traditional desktop UI looks and acts more like Windows 7, and the touch optimized UI is much more intuitive. Also, the interplay between the two has been greatly enhanced. Windows 10 is adaptive, meaning it can detect which device is being used, like desktop, laptop, tablet, etc., and it can also adjust its rendering. Fact number 2 is that Windows 10 adds security features that enterprises should actually want. Microsoft is pretty much focusing on improvements in areas like identity protection and access control, information protection and threat resistance as well. For example, in access control, Windows 10 will have native two-factor authentication, as Microsoft tries to get users beyond the single password method that's proven so vulnerable. With two-factor authentication, malicious hackers need to be in control of two pieces of information, in order to break into a system anyway, such as a password and a code to send to a user's device, like a smartphone. In the area of information protection, Windows 10 will have a data loss prevention technology baked in that distinguishes between personal and corporate data, and protects the latter using containment. Corporate apps, data, email, web content, and other sensitive information will also be automatically encrypted by Windows 10 both on desktops and mobile devices. IT managers will be able to establish policies to control which apps can access corporate data, and Windows 10 also extends VPN control options to protect its data and devices owned by employees. In the area of threat and malware resistance, Windows 10 will have features that lock down devices and only allow users to run apps that have been signed using a Microsoft provided sign-in service. IT administrators will be able to determine which apps they consider trustworthy, such as those they sign themselves, those signed by ISVs, those available on the Windows Store, or even all of them. Fact number 3 is that Windows 10 is a universal app platform. Windows 10 is the first version of the operating system with a unified code base and APIs, meaning that apps built for it can run with minor modifications on different devices supported by the operating system: smartphones, tablets, laptops, desktop PCs, the Xbox console, Internet of Things, Wiz. This is great news for end users anyway, and for commercial and enterprise developers, who will have a much easier time of creating tools, application, and integrations for the operating system, without having to rewrite them from scratch for different devices. Fact number 4 is that Windows 10 will have hologram technology. At the January consumer preview event, Microsoft introduced Microsoft Holographic, a set of technologies that will enable 3D imaging and hologram projection for Windows 10 apps. A video and live demo showed people wearing Microsoft HoloLens projection goggles to interact with remote coworkers, play a 3D version of Minecraft, or explore a 3D projection of Mars. Developers will be able to use HoloStudio software to develop 3D applications. Fact number 5 is that Windows 10 will include Universal Office apps. Microsoft is creating Universal Office apps that will be touch-friendly and run on all devices. Future Windows phones and Windows tablets will come with Office apps pre-installed. This is all part of Microsoft's bid to take back territory it lost to the free productivity of applications, namely Google Drive. What's not clear is how these universal apps will relate to Office 365 or the upcoming Office 2016 desktop software. Fact number 6 is that Windows 10 will include Cortana. Cortana, the female-voiced, somewhat sassy digital assistant that debuted in Windows Phone 8.1, will become part of Windows 10, tied in closely with the Bing search and notifications features of the new operating system. You'll be able to type or talk to get information through your PC. It's definitely still a work in progress, but it's nice to see this height of Windows Phone arrive in Windows 10. Fact number 7 is that Windows will have 2 browsers. It will ship with both Internet Explorer 11 and Spartan, the new uncluttered browser that Microsoft is developing, apparently to replace IE or Internet Explorer. But perhaps keeping good old Explorer is Microsoft's way of avoiding wrenching changes that could alienate users. Fact number 8 is that Windows 10 will be really good for gaming. Microsoft is bringing big changes to PC gaming in Windows 10. We'll see the debut of the DirectX 12 API, which promises faster, closer to the metal gaming performance, and greater efficiency anyway. Windows 10 will also include a game DVR mode to allow recordings of the last 30 seconds of play, all the better for social gaming, even though it doesn't really sound all that great. In the most dramatic gaming move, the company said it would enable cross-platform PC to Xbox play. Microsoft has attempted and failed to unite these platforms before, however, so we'll see how it works this time. Fact number 9 is that Windows RT may be on its last gasp. Microsoft hasn't shut the door entirely on Windows RT devices, like its own Surface 2, but with excitement building for Windows 10, the most Microsoft would promise is that such hardware would get its own version of Windows 10, likely limited in functionality anyway, as Windows RT was compared to Windows 8. The news broke that Microsoft would stop manufacturing the Surface 2 entirely. The company is downplaying the significance of this move, but it could indicate that Microsoft's keeping existing RT devices on life support via upgrades, but halting further development. Fact number 10 is that Windows 10 will embrace most Windows phones. At the January consumer preview, the company announced that Windows phones would receive Windows 10 and work in concert with other Windows devices. And that's it for today's top 10 video. Hopefully you learned some new things about Windows 10. And yeah, if you have new suggestions for a new video idea, just leave them in the comments below. And yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.